let's get into the not game section. We are going to be talking about Frieren.
Mm-hmm.
And
Beyond Journey's End?
Beyond Journey's End, sure. Our chonky cat just left very chonkily through the door. We're gonna do a spoiler-free section of talking about the show, and then we'll have a like mini spoiler cast section. We will verbalize and mark that so that people can piece out accordingly if you're worried about spoilers for it. And then at the end, we'll come back and talk about what my next anime might be, because I'm in my anime era, plot twist of 2025, you know? You can always change who you are.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah, Isaiah is beaming here. I don't know how much you can hear it on the mic, but he is smiled nice and wide.
I'm very happy.
This was, people might recognize Frieren from our brief discussion of it during the Gang of the Year episode.
Gang of the Year nominee.
Yeah.
TV show nominee. And man... So, before we get into it, what is Frieren? I remember giving my spiel about what I think the show is and like kind of describing it during the Gang of the Year episode. I would love for you to take over now that you've watched it.
Now that I'm an expert.
Yeah.
Also, just want to say, I'm really sad that I'm not dressed as Frieren for this episode. That was my dream, but then I was kind of threw this in like semi last minute and didn't spend the money on the costume yet. Maybe this Halloween. We'll see. I would say Frieren is a show about it following like the hero after like the big battle is done and won. Notably in that hero being Frieren. Most notably, she is an elf, so she lives a really long time. So her OG party is really old and or dead, right? Depending on who it is. So it's like, they're kind of like sunset, long into retirement era, again, or dead. And she's still just like alive and hanging out, and it's like, well, what now, and it kind of follows her journey into what her life is now, which ends up being, no spoilers, but an adventure of her own, kind of a next adventure in a way. And the show is a lot about like friendship, but also sort of taking your time, Persona vibes, take your time, taking your time, getting to know the people around you, and what it means to get to know people, and also just some fire magic combat. Just because that's what I would say the show is before we get deeper into it.
Okay, all right, I like it. Okay. I mean that's I think pretty close to how I described it. The only thing I would add is. And I stole this from someone. I don't remember who. I wish I could credit them. But they kind of like summarize the story as like, or like a TikTokified kind of like summary is like it's a story about someone realizing after the fact that they were in love. Mm-hmm. And I also think that is not necessarily the whole thing, but I do think that is a big enough recurring theme.
I refer to it as situationship final boss. This is like
that's pretty good.
It's giving is it casual now? For our Chamarone fans out there. Yeah. So that's the show, and it's funny because I guess, are you surprised by me liking it?
How did you start watching it? What was that situation
I have
like?
a gun to the back of my head. I started watching it because I don't know why I heard about the show, but I just thought it would be good. You were like, everyone should watch this. It's like one of the best anime ever. Like, it's so good. It's a good show. You'd love it. You'd love it if you tried it. But you're not gonna try it because you hate. You hate to see me win. That was like the undertone, I think, of what you were saying. And then I think it was during like the holiday break time where we were all hanging out, like you, me, and my brother. And you were like, you know what I want? Like, I want us to watch Frieren. Like, and we're like, would that make you happy? And you're like, yeah, I would. And we're like, okay, we'll put it on. And you weren't really happy though from that, but but you were sort of like I guess I have to kind of be happy now because they did what I asked. We watched like 2 episodes. It was fine. Like, I was like, this is fine, whatever. Like, I didn't hate it, but I wasn't like seeing what you kind of saw in it. And then a little bit of time passed after that, and I didn't really, pick it up again. And then I was just like, you know what? Like, let's watch some more Frieren. Why not? I want to look at something while I'm eating. It could be Frieren. There's something stopping it. And it wasn't until like, I would say maybe episode like 4 or 5 or something, where I started to kind of more regularly ask for Frieren. Like, I guess we're just watching it now, sure, you know. But I don't think I was like super into it. I was I found like the plot a little bit intriguing. Of just like the moment to moment episodes, especially those early ones, tend to be like one of the early ones is like, oh, again, not super spoilery, but just to kind of give some insight to the structure of the show at times. It's like they're in a town and they're just kind of like stopping over on their way, like she's traveling with this girl, and it's like, all right, so yeah, I'm gonna go, someone goes shopping, someone doesn't, and it's kind of just like you're kind of meandering around, just like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna get you something for your birthday. Oh, let's go out to eat. I know this one spot. All right, cool. And then they're like, dun, 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 the song plays or whatever at the end. And it's like, okay, again, I wouldn't say it was boring, but it was very like, almost like a vlog. Like, it's like, oh, we're just kind of like, it's chill in that way where it's like,
okay.
It's like, all right, we're just kind of watching someone like be in a town and they went to the store and then they got something to eat. It's kind of like got that, like a less dramatic reality show. That's why I would kind of compare it to a vlog where it's like, okay, like this is kind of what they did. And like, obviously, if you look at it on a deeper level, it's like, well, it's, them building their relationship together. You kind of get insight into like who these characters are and their motivations and like, and that is there, but it's not like, in that episode, for example, it's not like a wildly like big component. It's like an undertone, which isn't bad, but it's just not a lot to write home about to me. I'm like,
Sure.
okay, yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, that seems nice. Like I was kind of, I enjoyed watching, where they ended up eating their meal and the look of it, but I wasn't like taken by it. It wasn't that the thing I keep referring back to is like stuff that grabs your wrists, and kind of like, okay, now we're going, like, okay, like it didn't really have that energy to it. And then as like combat started appearing, I was like, wait, hold on. Now we have everything we need. Not that I dislike slice of life stuff, but it's just like, I don't know. It wasn't enough to like really, I mean, my ass was in the seat, but I wasn't like excited. I wasn't like, oh my God, can't wait for the next one. Cause I didn't really have, there also just wasn't momentum to like carry me forth. The next thing would be like, I guess maybe we'll go to like an old mall or like, or like, maybe we'll meet a farmer and they need us to help them with their sheep and we'll probably do that. And it'll be nice, but like, I don't know, like whatever. It felt very like anthology-like at first. But not like not super compellingly because they didn't have like big opens, big closes. It was just kind of like, I don't know, they like we're in a town or whatever. Yeah. And then once we started saying, okay, like here's the kind of stuff that really could be happening out in the streets. It's like, oh, like Frieren be fucking people up out here. Like, okay, hold on, like yeah. So that's really where I was like, now we have it all. We have like fun little like stuff, but also like wild challenges. And, like, I felt like the combat, and it's interesting because Frieren is, like, a really powerful character, so it kind of just fall into that problem of, like, again, my only anime reference, Dragon Ball Z. It's like, oh, Goku. It's like, yeah, he's, like, strongest guy ever. So it's kind of like, he kind of has that Superman problem where it's like, sure, where's the intrigue going to be? And I do think they found some good solutions to elements of that or some good opponents, but, like, similarly in Frieren, like, there's some really great, intriguing challenges that appear. So I feel like what was cool about Frieren was it didn't always just feel like, well, and then we won because we have a stronger team. Like it felt like there were more strategic elements to some of the battles and conflicts, aided in part by the fact that it's not just Frieren existing. Like, the party sort of grows over time and they have, and those characters are more regular, I mean, they still have powers and stuff, but it's not like, Frieren's like God, so it's kind of like, okay, well, obviously, she's like the Yoda of everybody, but she's not like, and she's a little bit of an asshole, but she's not as much of an asshole as like these other like Yoda-like figures, like Yoda or what's his name, Dumbledore. Like she doesn't do that thing where she's like, well, I know the answer, I just didn't tell you. Like I kind of hate that trope in, usually when you have like someone that powerful, they're like, I know it all, but it's for you to figure out. Yeah. But she is still a little bit of a jerk, but not like in an annoying way. I'm not annoyed that she's a jerk. She's like, I'm kind of a jerk because I'm not made of, marshmallows. But like, this is maybe a bad person. I'm just kind of like, I kind of just am a little bit like colder. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm just kind of doing my own thing, Yeah. So that's what I really liked about it. And it had some really good page turner moments where I was like, oh my God, I had to start asking you, can I watch this episode and stop, or will I want to just watch like the next run? Which I haven't really felt that I don't watch a lot of shows, but I haven't really felt that since like back when I watched like Severance season 1, and there was like that scene there's an elevator in every episode, but like, there was that scene in the elevator with Helly, and I was like, we ain't sleeping tonight. We gonna just keep watching these episodes. Yeah. So that was my experience with it. But what was yours?
For me, I forget where you know what? I do know. I think I originally caught a clip of this on TikTok. Without going into spoilers, it was a clip of the sort of fight between Frieren and Guillotine, I think was her name.
I think so, yeah.
The one villain. And
the Guillotine.
Yeah. That, and then followed up by a clip against I forget what the guy's name. It's like the guy who the Zoltrak guy. And these are fairly beginner of the series clips. So it wasn't enough for me to be like, oh, I feel like I know everything I've seen, blah blah. I was like, oh, hey, no, this all right, this kind of hitting, it was like one of those like 3-part TikTok kind of things where they like just show it to you all broken up. And by the end of it, I was like, you know what, am I interested in it? And then I go to the comments, people are talking like, oh my god, Frieren is so good, it's such a good show, get a show of the year, everyone needs to watch the show, blah blah blah. And I was like, you know what, I'm in a lull. I just finished watching I forget what other show I was watching before this at the time, but I was like, I'm in between shows right now. I ain't got nothing else on the plate. Let me boot this, and it's on Crunchyroll, which is like, all right, cool. You know what? I already got the service. Let me boot it up and check it out. And I think like you, unfortunately, when I said let's watch it, like me, you, and Edwin on like again, I think it was Christmas now, maybe New Year's. But I was like, like let's like watch like 2 episodes. Give me 2 episodes. I think what I should have said was give me 3 episodes, because I think when I first watched it, it wasn't until the 3rd episode, without getting into spoilers, which is like where the party starts to form. Yeah. That I was like, okay, I'm picking up now. I'm seeing where this can go, and I'm along for the ride, kind of thing. So yeah, this was a random TikTok recommendation. The algorithm had my back that day. He gave it to me. I decided to give it a shot, and then by like 3 episodes in, I was like, all right, I'm here for it. Like, another show which we'll probably talk about later, which had a similar vibe of like, oh, I just like stumbled upon this on TikTok or on YouTube short or whatever, and then eventually just kind of like dove in, and I love it, is That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Long title, fantastic show. Another give it like an episode or 2 or 3 kind of vibe, but if you stick with it, you'll be there.
I finally found the guy's name. It's Qual.
Qual, really?
Yeah, right. But Zoltrak
is the move.
Oh, okay. That's but it was really hard. In your defense, it was very hard for me to find his name. I had to Google I Googled like 12 different variations to describe him. And they're like, do you mean this guy? I'm like, no, the other guy. Yeah. They're like, who?
And I will say, in classic anime fashion, again, spoiler free cons to the show, so to speak. I think this show does really fall prey to proper nouns, in that like there are a lot of names that they say enough for you to recognize that it is someone or something, but not necessarily enough for me to know immediately who or what they're talking about. Like the Heroes Party, right? The original party that Frieren was a part of. I think it on my first watch, it took me like 4 episodes to like really learn. Okay, so that's Himmel, and that's Heiter, and that's Eisen. Okay, cool. All right, no, that's Eisen, and that's Himmel. Okay, cool. All right, and then like eventually you do get it, and then it just becomes second nature.
Yeah, there's not too much like necessarily like lore terminology, but there are like a good amount of characters where it's like you might just kind of forget who people are. But I never found it like to create confusion for it. It's just more like, I think it is just that's world building. The one, because you kind of know who they are even if you don't know their name. It's like, like this guy. I was like, I knew exactly who you were talking about. I just didn't know what his name was because they like, I don't know, they only said like twice or whatever. He was just like kind of a quick.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they do like there's enough world building that they have all these characters and these characters have names and backstories and stuff, but they go over it enough also that you can internalize it and like kind of like consume it to the point where you just know then.
Yeah.
You know, again, by halfway through the season, I was totally fine. Wasn't confused by names or faces or anything like that.
Were you surprised that the thing that I was most into was the fighting and not the like
eating
snacks?
a little bit. Not because I think the fighting in the show is fantastic. Yes, exactly. I think I knew you were going to be at least open to it because of like the cutesiness of it. And I thought that was going to be like the thing to grab you. And then the fighting would be like, you know, like a Dragon Ball Z kind of thing where it's like, oh, okay, cool. All right, nice battle. I like it. Yeah. Whoo, yeah, go. I can't wait for the next one kind of thing. Oh, but that cake looked really good. You know, so I thought it was going to be the cutesy slice of life stuff that like really grabbed you and brought you in. And it turns out it sounds like it was the fighting and the slice of life stuff was like a icing on the cake. Yes. You know what I mean? Like,
and there were times where it was like fun to have. Like, Frieren is very much like kind of like a grump. Like she's kind of grumpy. She's like a little mean by nature, not by malice. Like she kind of has this personality of just like, oh, I didn't think that you'd want me to, you know, ask you to the coffee shop kind of. If this is just a made up scene, this didn't happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, why wouldn't you think I want to go with you? It's like, I don't know. I kind of just want to go by myself. It's not impersonal. And it's like, man, Frieren's kind of an asshole, you know? But like, she's not really an asshole. She's just kind of like, you know, just has that personality that isn't very like warm and
very
cuddly.
Aloof,
she's not very, she's also not very like, I guess, in a sense, like socially well adjusted.
Yes.
But she's like cool with that. Like she ain't got no beef with it. She's just like, and she was like, well, I got you this because it seemed like you cared about it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, thanks. She's like, that's all good. Like, you know, she's just a chill ass bitch. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
But so she has that element of her personality, but she also is very like endearing in that like she's like this cute little elf, and then also she is like loves to snack and like shop and like she's always sleeping. So I think she does have like you do kind of want to like pick her up, but she's like, you know, she's kind of an asshole, but it's like okay, yeah. And I find that very charming and endearing, and I like those parts of the show. I found Frieren very relatable. I was like, I too am seen as a bitch who likes to snack and sleep. I'm like, this is me. Like I'm finally represented on screen. Like, you know, like why is everyone mad? Like I don't know, I don't get it. I'm just sitting here. Yeah. So I found that very like relatable and charming. But yeah, it was cool to like see them snack and hang out, but like what really got me into it was like the magic, the cool spells. I love good magic. This is true in games, and there's not a lot of games I've personally played. Mostly just 'cause I haven't played a lot of games that have magic, like holistically, right? Like, I've played mostly like, a million Marios, right? And like Mario ain't doing magic. He's doing things that could be magic, but it's not, you know? So, but I do like magic in games a lot. Like I always play as the mage class, even though it's usually like low-key kind of a boring class to play. It's like, yeah, I like the spells. I like powers, and that magic is just powers, you know? So this was really cool. And like, this has made me want to chase even more magic stuff in games because I'm like, why don't I feel as cool as this looks? It's not fair. Like, and you know, I put up a post on Blue Sky the other day that was like asking about that. Like, what's a game where I can feel like I'm a badass magician? And really, I want to be Frieren. But I know if they made that Frieren game, that game gonna suck. But if someone will make it, I'll buy it. I don't care. I don't care.
I will be there for the suck.
I'm gonna be there regardless. Yeah.
Jinx. So what? I guess it goes without saying, you enjoyed the show.
Yeah, I loved it.
Love the show. Fun. Hypothetical, going back, should this have been our gang of the year?
Yo, easy. Honestly, like it's way better than Ryan Serhan's fucking show about real estate. Even though that's fun in its own way. Like it was cool. But yeah, this would have easily won. I don't know that I already do this with games, so I doubt I want to like become like, let me make sure I play and watch enough stuff. You know, especially gang of the year, it's so broad. Like I don't think I think it'd be like a big undertaking for us to like
trying to keep up with everything.
Unless like maybe this became our like really like, oh, we're making like 100 bands a year off Gangcast. We can, okay, sure. I guess let me just watch some more anime.
All right, guys, we have a goal.
Yeah,
New financial goal just dropped.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like if it did, that would probably tilt the scales a little bit. Where I'm like, yeah, let's put even more effort into because obviously it's financially more viable. But yeah, like I do wish I could go back. Also, it's like a quick watch too. Like how many episodes is it?
I mean, well, there's a good hint. I think it's like 28 episodes.
Yeah,
but they're the 20-minute episodes. It's not.
Yeah. It's a medium watch.
Yeah.
It's definitely like I think too in terms of anime terms, like when anime gets long, it's like, oh, you have seasons of all of these. Well, this is just one season.
Yes.
30 episodes. And yeah, like I was eating them episodes up. I'd be like late at night watching it before going to sleep. I wake up more for it was so sad when it ended because I'm like, now what do I stare at when I eat?
I think the other cool part about it too is that like for a lot of the episodes, at least in the beginning for sure, are almost like split in the middle too, where like the first that 12 to 15 minute is like one story, and then the second half of the 20-minute 25 minute episode is like another story, which I thought was really cool. Like there was a lot of stuff that happened in this rewatch with you that I was like, I remember that being like later, and this is like episode 4. Like what's going on here? I will say, big con to the watching experience. Crunchyroll, man, fix your player.
Oh yeah, it's been fun getting to join Isaiah in the anime community because I was like, hey, like this, why is the UI like this?
Dude,
and you're
it's
like,
so bad.
It really felt like the inverse of years ago at this point. Me and you like went to San Diego for Valentine's Day. Like, oh, let's just get like a little like hotel. I think it was an Airbnb actually that we got. Like, just we feel like we're out of town. We'll just like relax, change of pace. That'll be our Valentine's Day like gift to each other. Kind of hanging out. We hung out, ordered some food, played some games. One of the games we played was Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Great game, fun,
Fantastic
had a great time.
Game. Yeah.
Isaiah wasn't familiar really with Pikmin like that, like at the time, and I think it was my first Pikmin game, but I knew a lot about Pikmin already. We played it, had a lot of fun, and he said, "This is great. When's the next one coming out?" And I was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" I was like, for someone to ask that, like genuinely, like I felt like I was getting an aneurysm because I had spent so much time, which I'm sure hearing this now might seem a little silly if you're not familiar. Pikmin 3 to Pikmin 4, like that gap was pretty sizable, but also it's just like it was a discussed game a lot. Like it was the equivalent of if someone just started playing Metroid and said, Metroid Prime, and said like, oh man, this is awesome. When's Prime 4 coming out?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. Like, are you actually genuinely asking? That's crazy that you could even genuinely ask that. So me being like, hey, like, what's up with this Crunchyroll UI? You're like, this is something that the whole, everybody is so mad at.
Yeah. And the thing is, they had other services. This is a side tangent. There was a service, VRV, which like partnered with Crunchyroll to like, if you had a VRV account, you could like access Crunchyroll content on their platform, almost like a Hulu, Disney Plus kind of situation.
Sure.
Except in this case, it'd be like if Hulu had an ass interface and then Disney Plus had a great interface, but then they all of a sudden just shut down Disney Plus or like ripped all the Hulu content out of Disney Plus. So if you wanted Hulu content, you had to go to Hulu. And it's like, well, why? You had a solution. Everything was great. It was all fine. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't know why that happened, but eventually I had to move over to Crunchyroll to get my Crunchyroll content. And
but yeah, it's definitely rough, especially if
day.
you're doing. I was just watching through Isaiah's account, and since he already watched everything, it's like
it was
would
all
never
played.
remember what's going on.
Honestly, these services need to add a like clear watch history or like a reset watched status kind of thing for these shows, so that I can rewatch stuff without losing track because I've rewatched it before.
But I did find the structure to like bring back to the show, the structure of the show to be really fun in that way too, where it did have like the multiple plot points in one episode. It was just a fun time. Fun time with a great group of people. Yeah.
Good.
You were right, Isaiah. Your
love to
recommendation.
hear it.
Your Audi gives good recommendations.
Great recommendations.
Yeah. Your Audi waits patiently for their friends and family to take their Rex.
Who I guess before we maybe jump into spoiler territory, as a last recommendation almost, like who would you recommend this show to? Now that I've recommended it.
It's for the magic girlies. Magical girlies. It's a magical girl show. And I think is really the actual pitch I should have said. like a magical girl show with a non-infantilized magical woman. Because I think the kind of the issue, if you want to call it that, like, you know, with is it's not bad because there's nothing like inherently bad about like a young girl, because like Sailor Moon, like they're literally young girls,
sure,
and like Frieren is like a super adult because she's very old. So I guess I should maybe like take that back, but I guess it's like it's nice to see like an adult like woman in that role, because you know, and I'm sure there's lots of magical girl content that I'm not familiar with, so definitely give me your magical girl recs. They're fun. It's a fun trope that I enjoy. But yeah, so it's for the magical girlies. It's also for the people who like badass fights. It's for I would say, I don't know. I mean, it's a good story. So, and I think I'm trying to think of what else. What did I recommend it for? I really recommend this towards everyone. And I have a hard time having someone like thinking that someone wouldn't enjoy it, even though I do think the start, I think to some people could seem slow. Like if you really just care about like the kind of the fighting and like the juice of the story, like the what is the core conflict, it takes a little while for the core conflict to form.
To that note, I think it was like episode 8 is where they go to that one village and then like stuff really starts to pick up combat wise. So I think like, which I guess 7 episodes is kind of an ask. 6 to 7 episodes.
Yeah,
is kind
I
of
think
an ask
also it's just like the beginning of the show. It's sort of like, well, what are we really doing here? And it's like they don't know. Like and like the characters don't really know, which I think that's fine, but that is a reality. Like the again, the show structure. It's like Frieren's like, what's going on now with my life? It's been forever, and also. It's worth noting that the last like kind of big battle that like the last party she was part of, like that party been done for a while. Like it's not like they ended on Tuesday and she back to work on the next Monday. It's like, oh, it's been like decades and decades of time. But it's sort of, you know, like she sort of like is thinking back on those times and is like, okay, well, like what now or whatever, and sort of pursues looking into like that old cast, and that can that leads her to like take on a new journey. But even the initial new journey she takes on is very vague, because it's just like it's basically just like, oh, she has like a student is kind of how the things kick off. It's like, oh, she's gonna take this girl under her wing and like teach her about magic. But they don't have like a set goal. It's not like, and you're gonna use that magic to get to
beat this
New York,
big bad,
you know, or like
kill
whatever. Like there are motivations that then form later, but their journey is very much like, we just out here like digging around. Like we don't really got anything going on. I guess you're gonna learn magic along the way. Yeah. Maybe. We'll see. Like it's kind of like, okay. It very much is like she's a teacher, but there's no lesson plan, bro. Like she just literally just showing up. She put in a VHS in that. She put in the DVD. She brought the TV in, and she's like, I don't know, whatever.
Truly like a study hall.
Slash is kind of like, oh, I'm gonna teach you, but like, you're going to learn by running errands with me. It's kind of like the vibe.
Yeah, it's like a ride-along vibe.
Yeah, definitely. But it's not like really giving training day until like later. Like I wanted like, it's like if you're looking for training day, like you're not going to get that with these. It's more like, oh, we stop and we get some cupcakes. Every now and then there's like, oh yeah, there's like this devil in a hole that I guess we'll take out. Why don't you take him out? Because you kind of need to practice anyway. It's like, okay, I guess.
That is very, very much the case.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, now we have like a plan. We're like forming things up. We're like looking at memories and stuff. Yeah, it's also like, I guess it's like, it's a show for if you want to like feel a little like wistful, you know? If you liked, DBTF by Bad Bunny, the Divertirá Más Fotos song. It's like, this is that. Like, if you like that song, you might like this anime, because that's kind of what the anime is about. Like like I should have, spent more time, took more photos, when I had you. Like, that's what the anime is about. Like, it is that song. So yeah, there you go. What about you? Who do you recommend this for?
I think I recommend, I like you said, and like I said before, I kind of recommend it to everyone. I know it's like a very cop-out answer, but I do think there's like basic appeal in the show, but also like incredibly highs for basic people, and so like anyone can enjoy that high because of that. Like it is, I'm someone who like, outside of like a shonen, sure, I'll take a good shonen. Give me some teenager who unlocks a power and now they're the strongest in the world or something like that. Fine, cool. But I think more than that, I enjoy a nice like isekai or like show where the team is like good, but they don't even know that they're good, and their like journey is about realizing that they're good and like that they're special kind of thing or something like that. And so like this doesn't necessarily follow that same like story graph, but it does hit some of the same points of like reminding you that like, oh no, Frieren's like, she was a part of the party that defeated the big bad. Like there are moments in the show that's like, okay, I can see why. I can see how that works out. Also at the same time, it's like, also she had a life before she joined that party, and that was a carefree life where she was learning spells and growing flowers and in the forest foraging and stuff. Like it's a show that I think the name is very, very accurate. It's called Frieren Beyond Journey's End, and this is the show is about what is the life of this person after defeating the big bad.
Yeah.
And just like it's not like they defeated Frieza and then Cell showed up. It's like, oh no, they defeated Frieza and now they just live for a bit. And it's like, well, what happens during that bit?
Yeah.
So I think that's just really cool from a like idea standpoint and like storytelling standpoint. And if you are interested at all in that as well, then I would definitely recommend it.
I think the only like light ding against Frieren that I have is that it's a little bit like, I guess, where that, and you could argue that like, well, you with any party you need a certain structure of like different classes.
Those are terrible classes.
It kind of does just feel like there is an element to the story that kind of feels like, so you just running it back, like it's just copy paste, you know. It's like, it's almost like her party is kind of giving oh my god, what's the name of the guy, the boat, the, you know, like if you change the boat out,
oh, Ship of Theseus.
Yeah, the Ship of Theseus. she got a Ship of Theseus ass party. That's sort of like, I don't know, there's nothing narratively or action wise that detracts from that, but I think it's a little bit of a like sure girl, like okay, no, you need another one of this guy, and it's like, okay, like I don't know, like again, it didn't really bother me, but it is kind of like in a way a little bit of a negative, just because it's like I feel like you just swapping out these people.
Sure.
But that's being said, the party construction is inherently different just because they do have like, you know, again, without getting into spoilers on the people in the party, it's like you know pretty early on that you start with Frieren and Fern. Fern being the girl that she takes under her wing. Fern is a mage. Fern's a mage. So it's like it's already a different party structure because you have two mages. But some of the other elements are just like, okay, like I guess. But then even then they do have like surprises along the way that do make it more than just like we're getting the band back together, but the band's too old, so now we have like Gen 2 of these like kids or whatever. Yeah. But there is a little bit of that. So a little bit. If that bothers you,
I say still give it a shot, but you know,
I could see that maybe bothering somebody, but I still think it's a great show. I love the show, and that's Frieren, spoiler free. We're not gonna get into the spoiler territory, unless is there something you want to say before we go into spoilers?
No, I'm all set to
all right.
Hop into spoilers.
So now we will spoil this show. If you don't want spoilers, this is your time
opportunity
to leave. Come back towards the end when we talk about our next anime.
Yeah, jump ahead to pull the show. Or actually, the next segment. Anime, what's next for Janet?
Okay, but spoiler stuff for Frieren. Where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about? What are some things you want to get off your chest?
Oh, man. I think.
Oh, here. I have something actually. Sorry.
Okay. No.
Actually, you go because I don't want you to forget it.
I didn't have anything. So
that's so funny. I think, sometimes when I start a sentence, I just go. I don't know where it's going. The show was building for me before this stuff. But for me, when I was like, this is the fucking greatest shit ever, is when she went into that little jail with that little demon boy. And did she like cut his head off, I think, or something? First she cut his hands off.
Yeah. And
then she choked him out and his head exploded. I was like, hold on. Wait. Bro.
Yeah. Like the story was very, and again, I think this happened around like episode 8, right? Like they're on this journey, you know. They pick up Stark by this point, so it's Frieren, Fern, and Stark. They come to the city, and all of a sudden these like demons come out from like, you know, like turning a corner, and they're walking with like the king of the city and stuff. And Friren's bought it. Like first of all, she is no hesitation. She 10 toes down. She whip out her staff and she is ready to like fight this demon that she just saw in the middle of a city. No care, like ready to pull up. And mind you, this is the first time also in the show that we've seen Frieren like this, where it's like, oh, what's going on? Like, yo, she's about to square up against this random dude who we've seen magical creatures before. She ain't never act like this. So already I feel like I was on high alert, like, oh, this is like serious. This is something. We find out that, Frieren has a history with the demons and like how they like, originally demons killed her village and this, that, and the third. And like, she's like, yo, don't trust demons. Like whatever you do, don't trust demons. They do nothing but lie, cheat, and steal. And they kill them. Just kill them. It doesn't matter what they say. Don't listen to it. Just kill them. And the episode ends with like Frieren being thrown in jail because she basically was about to square up in the middle of this town square and put people in harm's way and stuff. And the village king was like, hey, we gotta put her in a holding cell, blah blah blah. And then one of the demons are kind of like looking to trick the village into thinking that they're friends and that like they want to work together.
It was a peace envoy, and that's actually why she got thrown in jail. It wasn't just because it was like you can't square up in the town square.
Right,
it was oh, well, we're coming in to trying to sign this peace treaty, and Momo's just jumping us. It's like that's crazy. And they're like, oh, now I don't even fuck with her like that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why she goes into jail.
And then one of the guys from
something
the
wild
peace
too, like 10 years or something.
It was something stupid. Yeah. Which to her is nothing, but
for she's journeying with humans, so it's like you kind of have to.
And yeah,
she would have killed it in Interstellar. I'll tell you what. She's like, how long?
Yeah. Oh,
it's all good. Don't worry about it.
So yeah, one of the guys from the little demon peace envoy come in to the jail cell and was like, hey, my boss says. He said that you were going to be a problem, so I'm actually here I'm the fixer. I'm here to take you out. And Frieren, just being the badass that she is, she's like, all right, I mean, if we're going to do this, let's just get it over with kind of thing. And he tried to like, pull some moves on her, choke her up with like his ability
the razor
kind
wire.
Of like magic razor wire, basically. Yeah. And like he tried to choke her, but just naturally she's got her defenses up and she wasn't able to do it, or he wasn't able to do it. And eventually she just like flipped the script and just like murdered him. And it was like, oh shit. Okay. Like, and that was the cliffhanger. Like that was the end of the episode. And it's just like, you were like, well, I can't stop here. We got to watch the next episode. Do they solve this? Is it what's going on? And, so yeah, no, there's, I think a couple moments like that, especially in this like arc, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Like I said, Frieren, she fights the aura, the guillotine. Yeah. And it's like, that also has a similar moment where it's like that fight's going one way and you in your head kind of know that Frieren has to win. Yeah. But like the way that Frieren wins by just like showing not only aura, the villain, but also you, the viewer. Oh, like, no, Frieren is that bitch. Like she's fucking sweet. And just fucking one-sides the villain.
I think too what I really like about it, and I feel like I'm playing on easy mode here because I have my laptop where I'm looking at the summaries. I got the clips pulled up to refresh my memory. Yeah, there's so many cool things about the scene with the magical wire, the razor wire or whatever. One is that the guy's name's like Drot or whatever is the demon that like comes into the cell, and he comes in, hangs her by the wire. She blocks it with magic. But the magic's just around that little bit of her neck, which I feel like already is like, wow, like what a pro. Because I think she teaches Fern earlier on, who's like her student or whatever, is like when you're doing defensive spells, ideally you cast it as like small as you need to because it takes a lot of your like energy or like your mana, it depletes your mana. And I'm like, I'm familiar with this from video games. Okay, cool. Yes. My mana. I guess they don't have mana potions in this world. You can't just like spam item your way to success, but at least not in season 1. Yeah. Season 2, maybe. I don't know. So just the fact that she can concentrate it in such a small spot is cool. Another thing I really like about the scene is it speaks to an element of the show that I think does make the fights and things really compelling, which is like creative problem solving. It's not like, sure, in a way, could Frieren have taken out like, I don't know, a big magic hammer and like, hit him in the head. Probably. I'm sure there's something that she has to do that. But it's about like using the least that you need to use and being like thoughtful. So instead it's like, oh, he's holding the wire that's hanging me. I'm just going to cut his hand off that's holding the wire. And it's like, wow, like does it, no hesitation. He has like a counter that's more of his like razor wire like coming out or whatever. So she cuts both his hands off and the wires that are still cast from his hands are flying through the cell. And then, yeah, no hesitation. Boom. She gets on top of him. She squeezes his neck. His head explodes. All you see is just the blood gushing everywhere. Yep. She has no facial emotions during any of this.
Nope.
And also it avoids like a negative trope that I associate with a lot of anime. Even though, again, my anime knowledge is very small. It's mostly just Dragon Ball Z and then just kind of seeing things here and there. It's like, oh, I know about One Piece. It's really long. Every now and then, like, I don't know. You see, as an anime outsider, like the things you see are like very big, just like stereotype things. Like One Piece is really long. I guess like Attack on Titan's like kind of cool. This one has like a weird sexual angle for no reason. Like and that's honestly like a big like negative towards like anime. Like I just feel like every now and then it's like there's a regular ass story and then it's like this girl's in love with his brother, or just like titties. Like, and Frieren doesn't have any titties in it. It has a couple sexual jokes, but nothing too wild. They're like very mild little things, and some of them are actually like really funny too. Like there's to get away from this for a second, there's like the joke that when they were trying to like get the new priest to like join the party. And he's like, oh, he loves older women. And she's like, well, I got this, y'all. And she blows him a kiss. And she's like, Himmel went crazy for that. I don't know why it didn't work. And it's just funny to think of like, she's like, wait, guys, I got it. Yeah. I'm going to be so sexy. And it's like, she's not sexy at all. I mean, she's like a cute elf, I guess. But, you know, there's nothing like, she didn't do anything sexy. Yeah. Like, you know, it's like, it's just funny that she's like, this hits 100% of the time. And then she's like, this is what my mentor taught me, that this would make men go crazy, which is, that's really funny to me. Anyway, but yeah, the trope this avoids is the long fucking speeches. And video games falls into this too. I always thought it was so stupid though. Like, so it's like a big like fight and we're just gonna have this long speech like in between, like it doesn't make any sense. Like why wouldn't she just be like fighting? And what I love about the scene, there isn't any like, I know you. I know the but they still get to that kind of stuff. Like you still get story stuff. You still do have some battles that have conversation, whether they're explicit conversations or internal conversations that you as the viewer hear. But it avoids the like, like we don't need to like
villain speech
or the just cheesy, the villain speech or the like, oh my God, how did she do that? Like you get that sometimes, but like in this instance, it's like boom. She about that action, you've seen she about the action looks cool, and it's done. This scene is 1 minute and 12 seconds long. And it's like, that's all it needed to be. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I got everything I needed. And again, you get all the stuff you need because they like feed it to you throughout. It's why I think the story is good, where it's like, they don't need to have Drawl be like, oh my God, the fact that she defended against this with such a small amount of mana, because you as the viewer are already trained to know that like, oh, this is an example of her using that defensive mana in a really strategic way.
They do a lot of showing, don't tell.
Yeah.
Like, well,
they tell you earlier, so when they show you later, like they know because they already set it up.
Or by that I meant like they don't spend a lot of time explaining why something is the way it is, and instead they'll just cut to a flashback or like multiple flashbacks over time, and like you said, show you why would she just protect her neck in that situation? Yeah, you know what I mean. Instead of like
you must protect your neck, just in that one song.
I feel like another show would have just as easily had her do that, and then while hanging there, she would have had a conversation with Drop like, I knew you were gonna do that, and so I just protected my neck because it saves mana and blah blah blah, and like just this long spiel. It's like, no, we don't need that. Just give out that action. And I mean, I
was like, fuck the cupcakes. The second we're fucking choking bitches out and their heads are exploding inside the jail cell. I'm like, now we have a show. Let's go.
And the thing, like, I mean, I guess very selfishly, I wish there were more fight scenes in the show. Yeah, there's a good amount of combat, especially like towards the end, when they get to like the mage.
Yeah, it's
academy.
It's funny because I was talking about the show on Remap a few weeks ago, and I mentioned, I'm like, oh yeah, I really love that's Frieren. I love the fights. Like the fights are so cool. I'm like, and I alluded to the fact that like, oh yeah, I was like, once the fights really started, that's when I was like really into it. And Austin Walker said, oh, the part of the show that just becomes a battle royale, which is the later part, which I did also really like. But yeah, I got more into it earlier than that. But yeah, the sort of like the test to become first class mage, and it just having like these different tasks that you have to do, which is also like something I thought was really cool. Is like, again, they have like really interesting powers and magical shit going on, because it's like, and again, if you like magic, this is like a must fucking watch show.
Yeah.
Because literally like at the end they're like, you're now gonna meet like 15 of the baddest magician bitches ever, and they're all like really different. Like they have very different personalities, they have very different skill sets, and I really like that angle too, because I feel like a lot of times with mages you usually see like women as mages. Like I don't feel like I'm sure there are many examples of male mages, but like you just, when you think magical girl,
sure.
It's a magical boy, right? It's magical girl, not magical boy. I guess was Tuxedo's mask magical? I don't know what he was doing. He was just fucking standing there, being an asshole. But anyway, but like I like that you get like like the old man who's like also a mage, and like these just different people. Like you see more mages than you normally see, and they're all like badass in their own ways and have these different things that are really cool. And obviously Frieren's still like the big bitch there, she's like the baddest of everybody, but like everyone else has like really cool abilities. Like the fucking again, I almost feel like, because I know there's gonna be people listening to this that are like, oh, I don't care about the spoilers, but then later might be like, oh, I kind of wish I didn't hear it. But it is a spoiler cast, so I gotta go full on the spoilers. The guy, when he fucking wasn't even there, shut up. Woo! I was like, okay, we got a badass here. There was this I guess I'll try to find the character's name. The dude he can make a copy.
Yeah, his whole ability is about clone. Like he creates clones.
And throughout you see like him having a clone, and there's like that girl who's like the fucking psychopath mage girl.
I forgot her name too.
We'll find the names in a second if we have time to. But she was like, clocking his tea in terms of that, like, oh, like I could tell that's your clone. I know it's your clone. Oh, that's your clone. Okay, cool. And she's trying to get to know him because through like empathy, she can like steal people's abilities basically. So she's like, I'm trying to like get to know you because I'm trying to make them clones, like, so she's like hanging out with him a lot, and he's like doesn't give a fuck about her. He's like, I guess, like, I don't know, whatever, like just you're just trying to get my power from me. So it's like not really a big fan.
She's Ubel and he's Land. Yeah, I guess.
Okay, I know I'm never gonna get that in a million years. Land. But at the end, the last test is just what's the name of the one chick that doesn't wear any shoes? She's like the head mage of like society.
Siri.
Is it Siri?
Serie?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Sari? Yeah, I guess Sari.
Yeah. Anyway, she's like the head honcho of like the mage world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is Sari, or something like that. Anyway, yeah, I'm like the chick who don't wear no shoes. Yeah, there's in the issue out just barefoot. I know the bottom of them feet dirty as hell. Maybe she got a fucking spell to cast denastify her feet or something. Anyway, but she's there, and she's like, "Oh, the final test. I'm just going to interview people, and that's it. It's pass, fail, whatever." And when she like met with him, she was like, "Oh, you didn't even show up for the exam." And it turns out what you saw, he zooms out. He's at home drinking fucking tea. Yeah, he got clones of clones of clones. It's clones all the way down, and that was like such a cool reveal. And again, I think also speaks to like her power as like the only one that like maybe Frieren also noticed it and just didn't say anything. We don't actually know or not. But yeah, that was definitely a highlight. Also, was it Ubel? Fighting that one bitch with the hair I can't stand. She got that one bang.
Her name is Sense.
I will say like this anime does fall into the trope of like hair that doesn't make any fucking sense. I hated her fucking hair. I want to brush that hair out of her fucking face. Exactly, oh my god.
But like even I like that one of the things I really like about magic in this world is that they establish rules and then stick with the rules too.
Yeah.
Like magic once you get to like this whole like first class mage exam arc, they establish very early on that like magic is about what you can imagine. And it's like your ability as far as a mage is as far as you can imagine it to be, kind of thing. And it's like, well, if you don't have a great imagination, if you can't see yourself doing something, then you will not be able to do it. And like with Ubel, her character kind of like embodies that, where it's like this is the like second time that she's taken this exam, because the first time she killed the proctor who was like giving the exam, who had this like shield that's been magically enhanced to be the highest defense thing ever. Yeah. And like, but she grew up with a sister who, did, sewed clothes and, make clothes and stuff like that. She's very familiar with like the way that clothes work. And in her imagination, in her mind, she knows that clothes can be cut. And so her magic allowed her to kill this man who had this like uncuttable thing. And it's like, that's sweet to me. Like that is them stretching the story within the scope of the rules they've established. And it's like, that's so cool to me.
I also think like this anime does a great job using flashbacks in a way that still progresses the story forward. Like you don't get like the flashback episode, which I think is another annoying anime trope. Or honestly, low-key, it's a little annoying in general. Like even when it's not anime, I'm kind of like, okay, sometimes it isn't necessary to get something like that. I won't talk about any other, stuff that might have there, but we'll have a different spoiler cast for different things, I suppose. Sometimes it's necessary. So I'm not against flashbacks, but I think sometimes they're a little too like heavily used, or they're almost like a break from like what's going on. And I think with how Frieren set up, they do them really sparingly and like in a way that makes sense. And they also like allude to them so that you're excited when they appear, because she killed the proctor. We knew about that from like the beginning of like meeting her, like early on in the meeting her, we knew that she killed the proctor.
It was like a throwaway line.
Yeah.
Like they do reference it. Yeah.
And so then when it finally gets to like the culmination of, oh, why does she think, cause what's the name of the girl with the long hair again? Was it? Sense is like super powerful. And has this really long hair, and like the hair is like fucking infused with magic. She has like a 30 inch magical weave. Very much bust down weave. Yeah. She said it's this. Oh my god, it's too many jokes for that. Anyway, but yeah, hair super long, super powerful, and no one else wants to square up against her. And she's like, oh yeah, I can do it easy, like because I can just like knock her out.
If I have to do it, then like, I will do it. Yeah.
So this is light work, and everyone's like, I don't know why you think you can kill her. Like that's crazy. To be more specific, her like a copy kind of. It's like they're like the magical copies that they all face. And then they kind of show her, believing in that before. And then it was also like that conversation she had with her too after killing the proctor, and was like, "It's a nice hair. You ever think of cutting it?" It's like, ooh, oh my god, like what are we? So I think that was really cool. Having them fight these different clones too, like within the dungeon was really interesting as well. Just especially because I think what's another element of the show that's so cool is like, and Frieren's so powerful. So, okay, what are you gonna put against Frieren? So when they put Frieren against Frieren, it was like, oh.
Yeah, the final boss to the second exam was a clone of Frieren. And it's like, yeah, you got to defeat this clone to beat the exam and make it out. And it's like, how do you do that? How do you overcome? And the game, and the thing is, the story, like, there was no magical sort of like story, magical story item that let them like, oh well, if we'll get the rod of powerfulness, and then Frieren can't beat that. No, like. Frieren's going to square up with you, like, and you got to just outbeat Frieren. And like, how do you do that? And like,
I also like that they didn't go where I thought they would go with it, which I kind of assumed they would go with something like more mental. Like, I never told you this, but I'm afraid of spiders or something. I don't know, something like psychological. I thought it'd be like, oh, when I like something like mad corny, that'd be like, the truth is, I could never kill Frieren. So if we just put Frieren out there, she's going to tank her way through it or something like that. It was like, nah, like I'm going to just kill anybody here. Because it's just, also, again, they're also just clones. So they don't have the, which is also fun, like seeing them work through.
What is the clone?
Yeah, like, what is the clone? Like, is it a human or not? Like, can it, what was the big thing? Does it have a mind, I think was the question.
Does it have a mind you can control?
Because if it doesn't, it's not weak to psychic because it doesn't have a mind, technically. So, there's a lot of reasons why I don't think they could do. She loves Frieren too much to kill her, so put Frieren in front of the... But I did kind of think, I don't know, they go somewhere with like who she is. And, you know, the truth is when I see the ring Himmel gave me, I'm like, oh my God. It's like, there's not anything like that. You just gotta outfight her.
But to that, they do kind of, they do that in the best way possible, where it's like the flaws of real Fern are also the flaws of copy Fern.
Yeah.
And like then playing with that and being strategic and having the characters come together to like find a solution to the fight and everything.
I also think like, you know, there isn't a lot, if any, death in the show. I don't think. I'm trying to think, does anyone like, obviously some of the bad guys, like the demons and stuff die.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of like the, I think some of the kids in the test died at some point early on. I
in the first one. A couple
people did die or whatever.
They got eaten by the birds.
Yeah, like, but, and also I like how quick those kinds of things are, like, because it adds like a layer of shock and also like urgency to like viewing it. Like just like when the girl one of the test takers tried to like mind control, I think what's her name? The long hair? Sense, like the Sense clone copy or whatever, and she went out there and was like, I forgot, Neil or something like that, and that shit did not work. She got sliced the fuck up. It was like, like this show, like it'll make you go, oop, like oh shit, like, they just did not, like, they were just whoo. Fern got tossed aside. Her staff, they broke that thing in half. You know, it was just like, okay. So yeah, I think that element's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's other like stuff that I want to shout out from the show. How
do you feel about like the trajectory of the story? Because I know, like, to me that was also something where, just for context, going into the story again, we already talked about in the very beginning, it's kind of just like all right, Fern and party defeated the big bad, and now they're just going about their lives afterwards. Like there is no Cell saga on the horizon that like we as the viewer clearly know of or anything. So it's just like, all right, what happens after you beat Frieza? Yeah. And it's like, well, cool, I'm here for the journey, but I don't know where this is going. And where it ends up is that like they're looking to go to heaven, which is a physical place in this world where spirits go after you die, I guess. And they're going there to, I forget why. I think it's just to see Himmel and
she's trying to knock on Himmel. That's it. Like,
again, the MacGuffin is not very clear, nor is it really like needed to be. It's about the journey, right? But like, you know, we know that they're trying to go to heaven.
She's going to see her non-baby daddy.
Yeah. How do you feel about how this played out? Like, I wasn't so sure if you would think like, well, this is stupid because there is no Cell for them to fight next.
I don't mind there not being a Cell. I don't need a big bad. I'm sure those things will happen. And I feel like the show has already shown that there's plenty of action to be had. Like you can have good action without having like a big bad.
Sure.
And also really compelling challenges. Like I think that mage exam was cool because it wasn't just like, all right, everyone bring out their staff and whoever got the longest staff, you know, like, you know, it was like testing different things. And also it became even cooler with like having like Fern do it. And I like the sort of construction of how much Frieren, like any good teacher, is pushing Fern to like believe in herself and who she is. So it's like, she's like, oh, you're third class? Why aren't you first class? Oh, the exam wasn't there yet. And it's like, well, obviously, and you know, Fern's like, well, Frieren, you're going to have to like be the first class. And she's like, no, we both signed up. What are you talking about? Yeah. And then Frieren couldn't even get it because Siri's a hating ass bitch. Yeah. Which that was also fun. Like with her being like, Siri's not going to give it to me because she's a bitch. She probably she gonna fail you, but then she's going to be like, you know what? You kind of sweet with it though, so I kind of can't fail you. But she is going to offer you something. You don't really got to do it, but you could do it if you want to. And these are all the things that are going to happen. And then everything was true, which was also like, just real quick, shout out to like the dumb shit in this story. Like the thing that you get when you, if you become first class is you can get any spell in existence from Siri. Like Siri will like teach you just any fucking spell. Yeah. And the spell she picks is the one that can like clean clothes like really thoroughly. And that's like really cute and funny and dumb. And I love that for her. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, with the only thing with the trajectory of the story that sort of, it didn't irk me, but it's something that like I did clock and it did kind of make me feel a little salty, was like learning that they definitely wouldn't be getting to heaven. Because I was like, Isaiah, they've been on this fucking exam for 4 episodes there's not enough time for them to get to heaven. That's a problem that every show has, though, especially just I think that's always been a problem with shows, because even before streaming existed, you still usually, I think back in the day, would know like maybe how many episodes were of a thing. I forgot how that was communicated to you, but I feel like we knew how long the Frieza saga was, which I don't know why that's the
I
one
think it was
template
like
we have.
usually this stuff is like adapted from manga, and so it's like, okay, like I know that the manga is this many pages,
I guess, but
they're
I
doing
wonder
about
like
this many episodes per page. You could do some rough math.
I'm
kind of
like
thing.
losing my mind now, because I'm like, actually back in the day, did we know like how many episodes a season of SpongeBob? You know what I mean? Was that viewer facing? That's what I mean.
It might have been, and I just never looked into it.
I think it was through probably like, again, this is gonna make it sound like we're like way younger than we are in a way, but like maybe like through the TV guide or something. I don't know. I think that information was public information somewhere.
Public, yeah,
but
I just didn't care because I was a kid.
Forget like how it was, but I'm sure it was. So all of that to say, is my very long-winded way of saying this is always a problem in any medium, because if you can see what's left, you can presume what might not happen. It's also why, like, at a certain point in a movie, I'm like, we can't even pause it because that's going to be a spoiler for the movie if I know where we're at in the story. And even in, like, a book, you have that because there's only so many pages. So you can see, okay, well, there's not that many pages. Or knowing if there's a second book, it's like, okay, well, they probably live because there's a second book. So that's like a art problem, not like a anime or Frieren problem. But I did definitely notice that. And it's just something I noticed. Like, it didn't really, like, make it work. It made me a little sad because I'm like, well, we're obviously not getting to heaven in this time because they're out of time. But I was kind of okay with that. Like, I didn't need us to get to heaven, but I was kind of just like, yeah, we ain't getting to heaven. And I guess, all right, like, we'll just keep walking, I guess. Like, I don't know. And I did really enjoy all of the stuff with the first class mage stuff. That was very cool. So it was worth the sacrifice. Himmel gonna be there. Who's that? Maybe Himmel's in hell. I don't know. And that'd be a fun twist. One thing that annoyed me, not from the show, but from society, is everyone fucking just like glazing Himmel all the time. Like, Frieren's like sweeter than Himmel. I'm hoping that we'll see more about like what really makes Himmel that bitch, because people are just like obsessed with, oh my God, Himmel's a hero. Himmel's so great. You travel with the great. No, bitch, Himmel traveled with me, motherfucker. What are you talking about? Himmel was with Frieren. He's just some boy. She is the sun.
It was heavy. Maybe it's my band energy.
Maybe it's just the feminism in me, but also like Frieren's sweet as fuck. I feel like that does make me think Himmel must actually be like fucking sick with it. We just don't know yet.
So yeah.
But it's just like, so you're with him. Is he funny or something? Like,
I feel like where we last saw things, and the questions that I then have in my mind are, yes, one, I feel like this, good point, Himmel, Heider, and Eisen must have been like also those dudes, because fucking Frieren's sweet, and they fucked with Frieren. Like, they rolled together. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't see any flashbacks of crazy stuff that they did, but that I had to imagine they did it. And then also Ciri. Ciri was fucking head mage when Frieren was just starting to learn magic. So like, Ciri must be fucking even sweeter.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I want to see what she can do. What's gonna happen here? You know what I mean? Flamel, same idea. It's like Flamel taught Frieren. Like, I want to see some of the shit that she did, like in her later years, or when she was journeying or doing whatever. You know, I'm sure there's like tons of magic spells that we haven't seen there. So you know, I'm excited. Hopefully, and I don't know. I know season 2 is greenlit. I don't know what it's gonna be about. I imagine it'll be a very similar setup here, where it's like, it's just going to be about a story and you're going to get what you get. And I'm fine with that.
I like how Flame, or is it Flame or Flamel?
I think it
ends with an E, but I forget. I like that she's fucking, especially compared to Frieren, she's a fucking giant. And I love that. She's like a giant redheaded woman.
Yeah.
And she has like a very, another thing I really like about the show is I like all of the character design and the clothes. Obviously it's like has what a lot of like cartoons have, you know, animes like in the cartoon realm, which is to say that everyone has the same outfit they wear all the time. But there are a couple deviations. I like Frieren's little like weird brokey schmuck that she wears like when to sleep.
But
she also,
nightgown.
Yeah, her little nightgown. But she also wears it, I think, sometimes like just when she was younger. Like that was just the clothes she had. I don't know. She was poor. She's like, actually, it's designer, bitch. Like you're poor.
Her village is burned down. She was.
Yeah. Like she gets her little smock on. But yeah, that smock is so cute. I'm sad because I had a dress that was similar to that, but it doesn't really fit me anymore. I tried putting it on, and I'm like, so I'm like, I think I have to just give this away. But. Yeah, and I like that she has her different like hairstyles. She has like the traditional one, but also the one where she's like asleep. And honestly, dead ass. I'm taking this to my salon. I am growing my hair out. I'm not gonna dye it gray or anything. I'm just gonna let time do that over time. But I think too another reason I probably like Frieren is I think I love elves because of Jack and Daxter. Little pointy ears. Okay. I love these little pointy ear people. I feel like I'm at home with a good story and a good adventure when my little elf people are around.
Yeah.
Also too, I love that one chick from Metaphor. She's also an elf.
Oh yeah, Hulkenberg.
Yeah. The best people are elves.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, they're up there. They're up there.
So
last year was all about elves. Is Loki.
Yeah.
I guess
Link also an elf, right? So it's like there's Link, right? He's an elf.
Yeah, I think so. He's got elf ears at least.
So there you go.
Some rendition. The last thing I'll say, kind of going with like where the story could possibly go. The things I want to know in season 2 or whatever we get next.
Oh, he's not an elf. He's Hylian. They just have long ears.
Okay.
The same shit. Sorry if that's offensive.
I think they left enough characters. They've introduced characters in season 1, and then like kind of they then branch off into their own stories. And I want to see more of them, like the Craft, which is like the monk elf that they meet in that like winter cabin
the hot
kind
guy?
of thing. Yeah, the hot elf.
Friren's boyfriend.
Yeah, Friren's fake boyfriend.
Yeah.
I want to see what's up with him. You know, he's apparently been around forever and also doing his own shit, and he's got
I'm sad they didn't
statues
like
of him.
And that's why I was like, girl, like what's his name?
Get over Himmel.
What's his name? The Craft. Craft. Like Craft is here now. Like Himmel gonna be sitting up in heaven for a minute. Like, you know?
Yeah.
She said that her species is in danger. I was like, oh, this is how they're gonna repopulate the earth with elves, even though she already said like we don't have like reproductive urges, which is why there's not more elves. And
then Sign as well, the like priest.
The priest guy, I was looking for his friend.
His friend Gorilla. Like I want to see what's up with that.
I like that too. And I think that's what's cool about the show as well. Like it doesn't follow like a more cliche trajectory. Like the fact that they have like, you think they're in the party, is gonna be the party, and then it's like, nah, I'm actually about here. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And I think it makes like the time you spend with those people more exciting because it's like you don't know really how the cast is gonna develop. You know, it's not without its tropes. They definitely have the Harry Potter didn't invent this, but the classic like Harry trio almost of like the 3 people and like 2 people are like frenemy lovers, like Fern and what's his name? Stark. It's like, okay, obviously like they're gonna be together or like they're the next situationship.
Yeah.
Of you know, the world's lore.
Yeah. And they like allude to it. There's like one like episode where Stark needs to like pretend to be this prince who really died in battle for this king in order to like keep appearances and stuff.
That was so funny because they just pimped him out to this family basically.
Really, they were like, we need the money.
Yeah, they're like, we're really broke. Can you do this? Like, you know.
But yeah, it was like the little like dance that Stark and Fern had to do.
Yeah.
And she looked really beautiful. He was all dressed to the nine, and you know, it was like, oh,
that's just Yule Ball. You know. Again, Harry Potter did not invent that trope. That trope is very like classic. You know, but yeah, it did just kind of follow that a little bit. So yeah, great show. Yeah. Honestly, I want to read the manga now and just read it only up to the season, even though I don't know how that really works. If there's a way to cleanly do that or not.
I think because I think it's all like arc, like arc based kind of thing. So I imagine extra content.
I need more content. I also have plans to buy her earrings off Etsy. I think they're really cute. Or get gifted them by Isaiah. So